getting, George? How are you? The tip of George's tail is muddy.
Yeah, because he's been playing in the mud, right?
Yeah. I just walked outside and said, ew. And I stand by my statement. It's gross out here. It's been raining for 2 days. It's finally stopped, so I'm going out. And I don't like it. I had the door propped open in the greenhouse because it was 100 degrees in here when it was sunny. And it had gotten so hot in here that it caused a bunch of my seedlings to wilt. And now it's like 45, so definitely they'd have been fine with the door shut today. Normally what I do with these bags of salad greens is I sow them really thick, and then as they grow up, I'll thin them by like harvesting the baby greens. And they're not gonna be as thick now because I let it get too hot in my greenhouse. It wasn't hot outside,
Can
but
I get it hotter because it's cold?
well, you wanna get George out of here and we'll shut the door. I don't wanna shut him in here. So get him.
How?
Pick him up. Yeah, let's carry him out and we'll shut the door.
How do I get him out?
I'll push it open. Here, you don't worry about the bucket. You just get him out. There we go. That is the downside of the weather here, is that it's just, we can have really cold nights, and then in the day it might be like 60, but if it's really sunny, it gets really, really, really hot in here. So I'm gonna have to maybe figure out how to regulate that better, or at least just keep an eye on it right now while we're in this kind of limbo season where there's some of both. Soon I'll put a heater in here, and I won't need to stress about it. Come on, Ben. Hey, Tope.
Did you already go to the pigs?
No, I haven't been to the pigs. You excited to see the babies?
He says, "Where's Mom?" I said, "I don't know."
Wait, can I go?
He goes, "So it's like a treasure hunt?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Am I the treasure? So it is frozen here a couple of times, but a lot of the stuff hasn't died, which is kind of bizarre. Like, it's definitely had some frost. We've got some dead ends. You know, I've got like my zinnias are dying back here. You can tell that it got cold, but then like I've got new flowers opening. These dahlias that they didn't die, which is a little bit of a mystery to me actually, because it was definitely 27 degrees here the other morning. That's what the thermometer said, and so I really expected the garden to be entirely zapped. Some things are showing it a little more than others, but we've got a day in the forecast that's supposed to get down to 21 this weekend, and that ought to do her in. The squash obviously couldn't jive. What?
It looks gross.
It looks gross.
We should put some squash.
George, you're being sweet today. Oh look, Maya, the mud puddles in the garden are back.
Oh man.
It has rained a lot.
Yeah, it's rained a lot.
The mud puddle.
You don't like that? There are some places in my garden that start to get wet in November and they don't get dry until May. Our farm just gets to be a muddy mess, unfortunately, and I guess that's a lot of farms during this time of year. And the fact that we live in an area that doesn't freeze a lot, it just stays largely muddy. It probably won't look nearly as dark on the camera as it does in person, because cameras have a way of making up for that, but it's only like 4:50 right now. Jeremiah keeps being like, "Isn't it time to cook dinner? Like, are you gonna have time to do all this stuff?" I'm like, "It's 4 o'clock." Because he's not quite adjusted.
I'll tell you what though, it's making us get on top of our YouTube schedule because we ain't got that much light anymore.
I know. I usually shoot videos in the evenings, and I'm like, multiple times you might have noticed that there have been a few days without videos lately. It's because the evening keeps sneaking up on me, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh dang, it's dark outside. Oh, weird creatures of habit, are we not? Hey girls! Hey girls! Guys, this is the year I'm decorating the chicken coop for Christmas.
We are?
Oh yes.
Yeah, with a wreath and Christmas lights.
Do you think we should give some food for the chicken for Christmas?
We could give them some little stockings and hang them on the front. Would that be funny?
And then put food in them?
Yeah, that'd be funny, huh? That'd be so cute. Look at those wet dogs. Yeah, it's dark enough out here that the floodlights are on. Hey guys!
Mom, what's your favorite dog?
Baby dog, of course.
Mine is Gabe.
Yeah. Bear's my favorite dog. He's like, then why am I not with you? Alright, everything is right in Bear's world. Here's our big compost pile. This represents a good long while of broke down goat barn bedding, and this is going to be spread out back here for the garden we want to do back here in the spring. We had been planning on putting another like in-ground garden back in this area.
Call it Three Sisters.
Well, I want to do Three Sisters, but other things too. I wanted to do back.
Sister method, whichever, you know.
The what?
However many sisters you want, 6, 7 sisters.
That's not.
Is that how it works?
No. I was noticing up here though, this is where that compost had been piled up, and the ground here is looking luscious. And so I think this might be where it's at as far as putting a garden in the ground. And so we might move that stuff back up here and spread it out up here. Hey girls! Hey! Hello! Y'all, they're getting their winter coats. Look at them. Look, it's so fluffy. Alright, I don't know if you guys can, how well you're going to be able to see this, but we have really, really clay soil. So to have inches of topsoil that's loose and brown, I feel like we should be planting something in this. Are the alpacas already up in the barn? I think they must be. Girl, did you run out here with your bed covers still on? See if we got anything for you? Yeah, I think she's getting closer. Yeah, she's gotten noticeably bigger just in the last couple of days. Huh?
She looks bigger in the stomach.
Yeah, she looks bigger even than she did 2 days ago. You want to go peek on the babies? Which hopefully we'll have some new babies soon. Look at these little guys. Oh man. The baby pigs are looking so fat. They're cute as can be. They're so fat. Look at them. They look like little stuffed animals. Yeah. Looks like the alpacas had to come and check us out. They all decided to stand in the rain today. Oh, hey girl. Hey girlie. My animals never fail to like completely stress me out because it'll be like days of rain coming, so we'll make sure they have all this dry bedding and that everything's good to go so they have nice places to get out of the rain. And literally, I looked out today when it was pouring down rain. Every animal that I own, other than my dogs, which were inside, and probably the cats were hid away somewhere, but like the pigs, the alpacas, the goats, everybody is out. The chickens were out in the pouring down rain, and they're all just walking around. I mean, looking like a bunch of drowned rats, just walking around the pouring down rain. I'm like, well, I mean, I guess they get to make a choice for themselves. Hey girls, bunch of soaking wet camelids, is that right?
Don't trim alpaca's hair when it's wet.
No, you only trim their hair once a year. We'll trim their hair in the spring. It's too dark out here for video. Y'all, Gretchen Wieners is looking so fluffy.
What? Who was?
Just out of nowhere. Look how fluffy she got. That's so
Which
good.
one? The tiny one?
Yeah, Gretchen Wieners.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go inside. I gotta cook some dinner. So I'm having, like I said, a really difficult time in adjusting to the light being so different and the time change. It's just, I'm like very routine, and obviously I have a lot to do every day, and so I really depend on routine to get things done, and I go from one task to the next, and like changing something completely rocks my world. And so like this change is messing me. I'm actually going grocery shopping tonight. I'm actually gonna cook dinner and then go grocery shopping because I just haven't been able to quite adjust. It was that, or I was not gonna post another video again. So trying to stick with it and deal with the changes. Did y'all notice that we got some haircuts? Look at these boys. Doesn't Ezra look so handsome? And Biddy, so handsome. And Jackson. Oh, here's another handsome boy. What? I was gonna tell everybody that you're about to be 14.
Yes.
When they see this. Oh, we're going in a circle. Is that a victory lap? Made it through 13. Woo! So Jackson is the boy that made me a mom. And you don't see him just a ton on the vlog. Why is that?
Just because
Not his thing.
just not my thing.
He appeases me sometimes. And what are you out of breath for?
Basically, I scored, like, I was playing foosball, and I blocked with the goalie and scored a goal from one side to the other.
Oh, wow, nice. That's cool.
And then I ran around a bunch. So I was like, that's cool. 'Cause that was the winning point.
Awesome, high five. Happy birthday, baby.
My belly's growling.
Yeah, you can have a piece of fruit.
My belly's growling too.
You can have a piece of fruit.
Mom, you are always there for us.
I'm always there for you.
And your arms are always open.
My arms are always open. Oh, Ezra, I love you. I just pulled these pork chops out of the fridge. They've been brining. Gonna put some potatoes in the oven and find some veggies in the freezer. Okay, so I've got brined pork chops dried off here. These are our pork chops that we grew. So all I'm doing with these pork chops is they were brined in salt water for probably an hour or so, and then I am just putting some olive oil, salt, and pepper, and then I'm going to sear one side in a cast iron pan, flip them over, put them in the oven, probably cook them for about 5 minutes, flip them again, probably another 5 minutes, and then I'll temp them and see where they're at and just go as needed to get them to temp. I guess I have a cooking philosophy. I would have never thought that. I am 100% self-taught cook from watching the Food Network and reading Paula Deen books. I definitely have learned from the ladies in my family, and by much trial and error. I did have kids really young. I started cooking really young, and just out of necessity. And so at this point, you know, I've been cooking for a handful of years and largely from scratch. I think simple is really good, like really easy, basic, rustic food without a lot of procedure, without a lot of process, without a lot of fuss over it. I think having really good quality ingredients and letting them shine is very valuable. And it's kind of taken the difficulty out of real food for me. This is not a dinner that takes a lot of time. It's not a dinner that takes a lot of forethought. I don't have to chase down ingredients. I keep a pretty stocked pantry with staples as well as stuff in the freezer, and constantly trying to cook out of my own stores. I actually shot this entire long video in my garden the other day, and then I had some technical difficulties, so I'm gonna have to redo it. But I was talking a lot about essentially like aligning your appetite to your convictions, and I think that mindset has really, really helped me, and I think it's really integral to homesteading. Like if you're desiring any sense of sustainability and growing your own food, you really have to be able to take an honest look at your cravings and your desires and your genuine needs and wants, and you have to be willing to make some changes to make those things doable. The thing with homesteading is you are looking for a sustainable lifestyle, and so you have to be able to really look at the places where the things that you consume are not sustainable in a sense of like, is it healthy for you? Is it financially feasible? Is it feasible with your time? Like, can you actually sustain it? And you know, yes, can the earth sustain it? Like that's the heart behind sustainability, but truly we can get so focused on can the earth sustain it that we don't honestly look at our time restraints and think, can I sustain this lifestyle? So for me, like, very simplistic cooking is one of the ways that homesteading becomes a sustainable thing for us. Because I want to eat whole foods. I want to eat real stuff. I want to eat what we grow. And then beyond that, I really want us to eat organically. I want us to eat locally whenever we can. There are all these things that I have to look at, and I can't always reach every mark because you can't, but I can do the best I can. And so it's always looking at those things and trying to figure out what's sustainable for me. I feel like that was a long ramble, but somebody probably needed to hear it. I am gonna go into depth about that topic soon because I think it's really important to be able to look at that stuff with no condemnation, but like a genuine, encouraging look at the choices that we make. Filming cooking is so hard for me. It's like major multitasking. But I want to give you guys ideas. I really want you guys to feel empowered to use what you grow more food, and make food choices that are beneficial for you. So I'm actually doing my pork chops in 2 rounds. One round is in the oven already, but that was just my own timing. If I'd thought about it, I would have cooked my potatoes on the stovetop. But anyway, I've got some onions here that are sauteing down with some oil, and I've got a bowl full of torn up washed kale, and I'm going to put this in that once those are soft. Stir it up. That'll wilt really fast, so just some wilted kale greens with onions, some salt. I'll throw some garlic in there before, but I don't want it to get bitter, so I'll probably put it in right about the same time I put the kale in. And I should note, since I'm giving you kind of a look of just like a regular dinner, it's actually kind of unusual for us to have a dinner where it's like a hunk of meat on the plate. Like, actually, this is more a rarity. Like occasionally we'll do something like burgers or something like that that's a really meat-centric dinner. But the thing is, like, you grow a pig, and a pig only has so many pork chops. I mean, the majority of that is going to be ground meat. It's kind of the same thing like with chickens. Many people cook chicken that they buy at the store, and they buy boneless, skinless chicken breasts. That's kind of like the thing that you buy. Well, chickens are made up of a lot of other parts other than just breasts. And if you're going to be growing your chickens and you've got a family of 7 to feed dinner, you don't sit everybody down to their own chicken breast. Usually you take a chicken and you feed the whole family. So we actually eat a lot of soups and stews, and we eat a lot of like squash-centric meals. Back up. That pan's hot. We eat a lot of sweet potatoes. Things that you can add meat on kind of as like a seasoning or a side. But I can take a pound of ground sausage and cook that and serve it on top of like squash that's stuffed with onions and mushrooms and stuff, and then the sausage is sprinkled on top, and so it's not a meat-centric meal. We do use some meat, but a whole pound of meat stretches to our whole family. So that's kind of that whole changing the way that you look at it thing and how you expect to consume things. So there's the finished product in the very appealing fluorescent evening light with a dark kitchen. I don't know how good that actually looks.
So you think if you ever build a house, you want studio lights in the kitchen?
Pretty much, that's what we need. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. At some point, I'm gonna get the hang of the light and I won't be shooting so many videos after dark. I bless you guys. Until next time.